Thank you, Baba, for giving me this today's opportunity. Today's topic is the false identification of the self.
Wonderful, Ambaji. I look forward to your questions always. And thank you for helping me to hold this session from your side. I can take your questions now. I'm ready.
Baba, I want to start from a very basic question. The basic question is that when you talk about the self, so generally when we read in the scriptures, we read about first is the gross body, which is like this sthula sharira, and then this is subtle body, which is sukshma sharira, and the causal body. So all three ultimately, when you talk, you say they are just mind and mind's imagination. So Baba, when you say mind, my in my understanding, mind is nothing but just a mixture of my thoughts. It's like constant thoughts going in my head calls, or identification of different things, different object, living, non-living, everything around me. I identify my mind when it think about them. I identify those things as
Uh,
their existence or my existence. So how do you say, Baba, that means I don't understand sometimes that this mind, how can it be the consciousness then?
you say now important thoughts itself, not the mind, and when the thoughts disappear, not that the mind disappears.
Mm.
You must understand, everybody, whoever is listening, and the generations, thoughts and visions are in the mind. Then what is that mind? That's what I keep talking. Even I tell everybody, all of you know that you have a mind, but you just now you recognize your mind only based on thoughts and visions. But you also tell, my mind wants to do this, my mind wants to go there. If thoughts and visions go, what is that mind itself? That mind, going back, then one step behind, is the pure consciousness and energy combination. That is the next terminology I have used to make it more clear. If the thoughts and visions are there, that screen is known as mind. Screen I am only using for sake of understanding. It's not just a screen.
Yes,
In
I
the
understood,
mind,
Baba.
thoughts have appeared. So when thoughts and visions disappear, same thing, we will not call it mind anymore. Instead, we will
Mhm.
call it pure consciousness. Also,
Mm.
it has the energy also. Now, the pure consciousness is like the thought of I am. This I would like to tell, is an individual imagined self, which
Mm.
actually does not exist as the self. It's only a droplet of the ocean, a microspeck of the ultimate truth. So then further, the seeker goes on doing sadhana to, after achieving the silent from thoughts and visions, he has to achieve more silent to make this I also disappear. Then that terminology of consciousness and energy both disappear. It goes towards the self. So that is how, in a simple language, I have tried to explain that self means a self has no definition, no appearance, no disappearance. It is like it is there and it is not there. There is no relative existence. When you go to self means you yourself merge there. As there is no relative existence, only in relativity now we can tell that one single self exists. That is the self. But when you merge with the self, there is nothing that you have to say. You are not even aware of yourself, but you are there. You would have gone so deeply merged with the self. So that is how I have tried to explain that the mind is nothing but you actually. while trying to tell people, seekers, meditators, know that this mind is you. You tell, my mind wants to go there, I wants to go there. Actually, there is no difference in these two things. Simply, I want to go there, mind wants to go there. Mind is not a separate entity from you which wants to go there itself. Only in the thought, an illusion happens as if you are going there. This body goes there, but the mind doesn't go anywhere. So these are the basic things that one needs to understand. I have tried to use simple terminologies which people can understand whichever is in front of them. Like, to begin, mind is like a screen. On the screen of the mind, thoughts and visions appear. So when mind registers and thinks, with the help of the brain, a thing is decodified and it appears as a thought process or a visual effect. But the thought and visual effect itself is not the self or mind. It is in the mind. Just like even Vedas talk, this universe is also nothing but the form of the divinity, ultimate truth. But this form itself is not the ultimate truth at all, because beyond this form, it is there, space is there. That means, if is the space not that divinity? If the divinity is all pervaded, everything has to be. So this universe is in the ultimate truth. When you are able to reach a higher stage, when this universe disappears, then you merge with that ultimate truth. Before the merger, you are able to experience that ultimate truth as the omnipresent, all-pervaded, supreme consciousness, which is eternal. All these things you experience just before the merger. Once merger happens, self-realization, all experiences drops, all ideas drop, all terminologies drop. The I also has gone. So that's why either consciousness of existence or the individual imagined self is what I have used, beyond the mind as the pure consciousness and energy. Like I have also told, in your meditation, when you just go on watching, slowly your mind stops thinking. When you achieve total watching, as the mind stops thinking, all thoughts and visions drops, means they all dissolve into the mind. Then what remains? At that time, we won't call it as mind. Once the thoughts or visions are dropped, for the same thing, we call consciousness and energy combination. Or, in other words, I have told consciousness of existence. Also, I have told like this, you go on meditating, just watch, just watch, just watch. Don't think. One day when you clear all the thoughts and visions, then you will see this consciousness of existence is there. You become aware of that, and that you cannot make disappear, because that is you yourself. But just how you would have imagined as an individual self, you would have imagination of so many subtle bodies and causal bodies, all these things. That is nothing actually. All these are illusions simply. We call it different thing, Karana Sharir, Sthula Sharir, because this gross body is a part of this universal dream. We are inside the dream, that's why we cannot make out that this is a dream. This appears to be real. So thus we call this as a gross body, whereas this is also an imagined body. But just now, nobody can demonstrate or understand. That's why a teacher doesn't go much deeper into this thing. Simply tells, first, deal with the world that is in your mind. Don't bother about the outside universe. Let it be there. We don't even have to argue whether it exists or not exists. That is afterwards, when you reach a higher stage. When you are in the lower school of learning, just now you have to learn that you have to stop thoughts and visions that are in the mind. That is the first standard lesson that you have to practice. When you reach that pure consciousness state, then you would be able to understand further if I explain more elaborately at that time.
Yes, Baba. Baba, uh, you just said that the mind, it is imagined self. Even the existence of the physical body also is because it has imagined, and but actually that imagination identify with this I am. That I am, how do you say, is that I am is a thought, or that I am, which is, you say that uh, is a pure awareness? Because I also an imagined identification, and that identification is with everything around I am, and everything I am belong to. So is this, you just said that there is a imagination of the self. It, mind imagines of the self. So mind is always in the duality. So how can imagination, how can mind be the self?
You see here, body you have imagined as the I first, because the consciousness has shifted to the body. And you would have assumed a name, a status, all these assumptions of name, status, etc., are the things that form as subtle bodies. Unknown to you, within you, it forms. But you are thinking this gross body as yourself. That is what slowly, as you meditate and slowly get rid of the thoughts and visions, your preoccupation with the thoughts and visions, preoccupation of analyzing and making judgments, then you will be able to reach that real consciousness of existence. That is what other saints like great Ramana Maharshi has told us, I, who am I? The same thing I talk as consciousness of existence. Ramana Maharshi said, observe from where the I is coming, right? So it is thus the same thing, different terminologies, boss. So thus, mind has purified itself and it has become that I now. Then very soon you will realize that I also really not the I. So that also disappears after
So
as you
that's
go on sadhana, as the mind gets absorbed into that consciousness of existence, that idea of the I also drops, the individuality drops at all.
so
So
Baba, that's
that is how you ask the mind as the self. You see, finally, just now the mind has come out of the self only in illusion. It is actually in the self, but it is hypnotized itself as if it has come out. Thus, it has forgotten itself as the self, and it is whatever it is imagining, it considers that as the truth. So, everybody, whatever comes in their mind, they start thinking that as the truth, as a good, as a bad, as a friend, as a foe, whatever they think. They think because my mind says this is the truth. This man is very bad. He is my enemy. He is trying to harm me. Like that, we start imagining. All this stopping and going back to that consciousness of existence, slowly by then you would have realized, oh, mind is nothing but this. Now from this, it has to go further after dropping the idea of the I for the self. Means you have to become more quiet actually. You don't have to go anywhere. The merger means you have to become further. That is where the tapas happens. Means tapas burns all habits, acquired habits once for all, where it will never absorb. No imprints are absorbed, nothing is registered. It is totally aware that it has to remain quiet. Thus it proceeds. So that is when it merges with the actual self, comes into picture. All these are there only, but yet it doesn't appear. Because we have imagined, only that thing appears. So thus in illusion only, finally, that is why I try to tell, mind is nothing but you. It is your conscious energy. Like this I start with, to begin with. Further we can understand more and more as a student progresses in meditation, in quietening the mind, in silencing the mind. When they are successful, they will be able to understand more further. Otherwise, the mind's thoughts will not allow them to understand. They might misunderstand. How can Baba tell mind as the self? Mind is different. Just now it appears to be different, definitely. But it is not totally gone out of self at all. It is connected to the self. Simply we have to become more quiet so that this illusion is overcome and the merger happens. It gets absorbed, in other words.
So Babaji, when you say, you always use this word, which is mind, and mind is nothing but you as a self. So when you say that consciousness of the awareness, you always use this word also, the consciousness of awareness, that Chetana which you give you this awareness that you exist as, is that you always refer the mind and the consciousness of awareness are the same one product, and the thoughts are the byproduct of the mind?
Thoughts of the byproduct of the mind, yes. But thoughts themselves is not the mind.
Yes.
Mind was holding the thoughts. When mind gave up the thought, mind has become pure consciousness. And from there only consciousness of existence is arising. The I is coming out.
Yeah. With that, Babaji, you said that consciousness of awareness comes when the mind is pure and without any thoughts. So the thoughts need, you always tell us that, brain can be your best friend and can be your worst enemy. And you always tell us that this brain produces, with the collision of the mind, brain produces different thoughts, and mind takes those thoughts, identify those thoughts, and make a judgment. And that judgment, we take it as a fundamental truth, or every individual being take it as a fundamental truth of that person's truth. And truth cannot be identified by the mind, because truth exists in itself. It uh, doesn't get recognized by the mind. So how, Baba, how you explain further about this, that how we stop taking the reflections of the brain and getting into this whirlpool and
You
get fooled
see,
ourselves?
what first we need to understand, this brain is definitely an amazing computer type of biological organ, or you can call it even AI, artificial intelligence, that nowadays we get to hear all over the world.
Yeah.
But this AI, this brain, is useful to the mind only to give a consciousness of this universe,
Yes.
to
Yeah.
us in this body, to be able to live in this world. More than that, this brain cannot help us to go back to the self because mind has to become quiet. For the mind to become quiet, it has to stop getting applied onto the brain. That is what happens when we are asked, you just watch in between eyebrows. Just watch means you don't get entangled with the brain or its reflections. As it becomes quiet and quiet, brain's activation also gets reduced very much. It doesn't reflect. Otherwise, whenever it reflects as a thought process or a visual effect, vision,
Mhm.
but the mind takes it in good faith and registers in itself as a fundamental reality. That is the problem. Then that ignorance happens. We take it as this is the thing. So that becomes the acquired habit. So imprints are observed. That becomes the attitude of the mind also. Whereas there is nothing actually. Mind has observed whatever the brain reflected. It should know, mind needs to know, this is an amazing organ, definitely brain, but I can use this only for the world, to deal with the world, to live in this world. More than that, this brain cannot be helpful to me because it will always create a blockage to me by creating a thought or a vision. When the thought and vision is there, this mind, which is actually the I, which is the consciousness of existence, is unable to be aware of itself. it becomes entangled with the thought and vision. Based on thought and vision, it builds up a new world in itself like that. Uncontrollably when it goes, life after life, these thoughts can cause the next birth, assuming the next body. In my opinion, actually, this can be the causal body, these thoughts and visions, which gives the mind an effect of existence of a world. So then this is the Karana Sharir actually for us to understand. Otherwise, what happens if a guru talks only the scriptural terminology, people will listen, but they won't be able to grasp what is it that this guru is mentioning about causal body, from where is this happening. See, because of the thoughts and visions that are in the mind, a next birth happens. The birth happens only for the body, but yet the consciousness also in illusion experiences as if it was born. You know, Maharshi Ramana also told only it is the body which is born and which dies. The self is never born. Yet it experiences as if it was born, as if it was going to die, as if it was ill, it was suffering. Thus in the mind it goes on suffering. So all these things, effects happen. To stop this only, first achieving the silence of the mind is essential. To experience that truth, that whatever the brain reflects is its own imagination. Means that is all it can. It cannot advise you what to do with that thought. It reflects a thought. It shows, like a thermometer shows there is fever. Further, the thermometer doesn't advise what you need to take a paracetamol or you need to see a doctor. It won't advise further. It will simply tell, okay, there is fever. Like that, the brain also shows a thought, so shows a vision, whatever it is able to grasp from the world. Further, it won't advise, it won't alert you also, careful, don't get involved too much with these thoughts and visions, you will forget your real self. Like that, the brain never advises. See?
But Baba, so Baba, here it's a brain is an amazing object, and scientists are studying for so many years that brain has the capacity. If a brain capacity 100% can be used, and the genius of the genius are get produced, because the human brain is an amazing mechanism. It's one of the most, I think, greatest thing in the human body. And through this brain we could able to have the discovery, and we can sit and talk onto this Zoom class while you are in one floor and I'm on another in the same ashram. We are in two different floors, and but we still see each other. So here my question is, I understand, so the brain is an amazing object, but to use the brain's capacity, not to get carried away by illusory thoughts. Instead, if we meditate and we can use the brain's capacity to its 100%. So what I'm trying to ask is, instead of wasting brain's energy and identifying so many things around us which has no meaning, it's kind of gossip and kind of unnecessary things which doesn't produce any benefit in our life. And instead of that, if we use our brain's capacity with the help of this conscious energy, anyone can be a champion or a genius.
Yes, definitely. In this world can be a champion.
Yes.
But the same brain, one thing it can be where it can be helpful when we apply it, it can also tell this universe is impermanent.
So I'm coming to the
comes. Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Baba, with this brain only, in our spiritual world also, the spirituality also says that with the help of the brain, with the intellect, a jnani understand the nature of the self. First, it comes into the intellect, and through the intellect, it further realizes that, that anubhav, which that understand first the buddhi understand the nature of the self, and then mumukshu goes onto the path and put an effort and realize the self and become Buddha. So my point is, uh, brain is equally important and brain is equally require, but at the same time, the constant chattering of the mind, if that is controlled, and unnecessary identification around us about the past, about the future, we are all the time entangled into the past and the future. If mind learn to remain into the focus, into the presence, with the help of the brain, it can produce amazing results even onto the path of the spiritual life. Am I
Now
understanding?
yeah, right. I'll come to that point now, where I tell the brain can be good friend or a worst enemy. Also, you said, also, brain can be a wonderful servant, but a very bad master. Now, if we apply the brain, then the same brain can give us the wisdom, viveka, crest jewel of discrimination, that what we see as the world or universe is impermanent, including this physical body. That was how in ancient times sages that neti neti, this cannot be the truth, this cannot be the truth. So simply this brain itself cannot be the truth, and this mind also cannot be the truth because it gives only imaginations. It doesn't give anything. Like that, they went ahead. What can be behind? They went behind, purified the mind. Then they went to the pure consciousness. Then they said, this is also seems to be limited, but how can a limited thing be absolute? Cannot be. So we have to cross this barrier also. This imagination of the I also means they went on observing further. That's when the tapas came. When they did the tapas, the I thought disappeared. Individual imagination, self disappeared, and the merger started happening. That's what they called it as samadhi. Samadhi, for the consciousness happened. There is no other, no awareness, no thought, nothing to know, because relative existence is gone. Like the witness or the witness, seer or the seen, all disappear. That's when can happen. So like this, if we utilize the services of the brain, in this world also it can be very helpful. We don't simply believe what it says. We make it work for us and tell us what is what. Now once we understand this is impermanent, then not necessary that we have to give up the world and run away anywhere. It is not possible. We have to live in the world. But now we are very well aware. Whatever is happening, it is acceptable. Whatever is in my capacity, I will work it out definitely. If anything goes beyond my capacity, it's fine, no problem. The world is, I won't go into a head-on collision. Niyati. Sri Krishna tells certain things we have to leave it to the Niyati Balarama. This is the prarabdha of the Yadavas. Because I tried, but they wouldn't listen to me. They never considered me a guru. Now it is time, our own bodies will go away if we keep waiting like this, like this. We have to go like that. So we live in this world, do everything, finally accept when it's beyond our capacity, when it's not happening, leave it to the nature. It will take its own turn. If needed, hundreds of such yogis will also come, or simply no yogis will come. It plays, the nature goes on playing. When it wants to produce, a yogi comes. Suddenly a weaver's boy becomes a yogi. And we also didn't know anything about it, about the truth. But this truth is coming. This is the divine's grace, that ultimate truth's grace. Like this, it can produce hundreds of yogis, any number of yogis. It can teach, it can give liberation to everyone. Like this, the wisdom will be coming. It won't simply disappear. Just like in this creation, whenever it started, like that the wisdom will come. So we don't have to worry too much about a particular religion or religious beliefs or this thing, that thing only. The truth will always be there and it will come up in some form or other. Then the exercises that we perform, we try to name it and then we try to grab over that. See, a yogi is there. A yogi is there and a yogi establishes an ashram thinking that let people, others also come meditate here, learn the truth. But once the yogi goes, whoever is wise, they meditate and get into the yoga. Others will start fighting for the property control or the throne control. Like this example I'm telling for educational purpose. I'm not accusing anybody. I'm not directing towards any groups or any such thing. Just for an example. Like this it happens. See, a person going for the property which is actually an ashram, like it is the pure consciousness, but it becomes mind. It is an ashram, but it becomes property. Fun, you
Again,
see, fun.
how you
Same thing.
identify.
How you identify. And the property creates greed. Ashram gives you peace.
Yes, it's again same the identification, how you identify the things around you. Baba, how do you identify yourself? Because as long as the body is there, you physically are there. You have your relative things also around you. Like suppose in a very, very close, it just now very close is a computer. So you relate also things. You relate with your uh, disciples, with your devotees. So how do you, so what is the activity of the mind in your consciousness? How does the mind operate? Is it still a mind, or it's just a pure consciousness? Whenever it needs, it identifies and then it goes back to the self.
Because it simply goes back to the self. If at all it operates a little bit only, it tries to give the truth when the students are ready, when they are ready to take this truth and this question and answer, and they are able to, it gives. But no further thoughts, it won't get involved into another thought like that, it won't go. It will settle back to the self. After the job is done, it is in the self. Only the self is there. No identification. It is silent, ever silent is there. Quietly, whatever I am talking, but the inside is the ever silent one for a yogi. It doesn't picturize, doesn't consider anything as a truth. All identification have been dropped, everything. We direct students, giving a clue how to proceed towards that truth. Quieten the mind first, silence the mind first. That one has to understand. If the first step itself people fail, they won't progress further. They will be holding on to the ego. So Swamiji, Guru used to tell, you see, no, on one side the Guru is there, another side their own ego. They keep holding on to the ego. That's why they give up the Guru. And they don't realize that they have given up the Guru. Simply the body is sitting in front of them. They can be gossiping with me. Is a different thing. But they have, in the mind, they have given up the Guru. They have holding only the ego. This sentence Swami explained to me once. Amazing truth. At that time, if we can give up the ego and hold on to the Guru, not simply to the physical body, it's the Guru who we want. In the beginning, years of my tapas, I had told once, if you remember, to you all, I had a vision. One side, Swamiji was sitting, another side, all the properties, ashrams he had established. He said, whatever you want, you take. Suddenly my wisdom came, I want Swamiji, because that was what from the beginning, not the ashram, not the property that I have to take. But it's another thing, destiny has made me to remain in the ashram, look after the ashram is a different thing. But that is how you pick up the Guru and Guru's teachings, then go for the teachings, then you are able to achieve that same truth to yourself.
So Baba, does your mind is ever in duality? You say
No,
that the mind goes back.
it doesn't happen. it is fully convinced that no duality is there at all. And it doesn't go into a dual things are that I am witnessing and there is a thing that I have to witness. There is no such
So,
imagination at all.
Baba, how do you see God as an all-pervading thing, or you still identify with the different deities, different forms, and pray to them in your mind? Do you still, or it's just like a vague kind of an image, but you know that the self as the divinity exists all the time, everywhere? What means?
Yeah.
I want to convince myself that
This
there
is
is
a
no more imagination
very
left.
important high level question you have asked. All of you have to pay attention. Do not try to misunderstand. Precisely, in fact, there is no such idea of God at all. Because the duality and separation is not there. But for this world's mannerisms, to teach the students of the beginners, all of them, you might see me doing an abhishekam on a idol. You might see me singing the name of the God. We all came up through the Bhakti Marga, definitely. So, for that, I have tried to explain. For others also, God is not a personality who is sitting in the space. It's simply an all-pervaded. What it is further, nobody knows. Nobody knows really. Anybody might try to give, like Ramakrishna said, first son went on talking Vedanta, Vedanta, Vedanta. He told, you don't know anything, my son. The second one came, he remained silent. Then Ramakrishna said, you know a little bit. So like that, you cannot say what it is. It's all gone. There is no such idea is there. All ideas have been dropped. But yet, for sake of to inspire others, to give clue to the students, we do certain exercise. Like a guru is guru, a disciple is disciple. That is the worldly manners. We have to behave properly. With this idol has to behave as a disciple with another idol, like that. But there is no such imagination is there.
Yes. So, Baba, here you said that when the mind, silence is the biggest worship. You just said when mind is silent, it's into the divinity. When the mind is in the duality, it's in confusion.
Ah,
It's
exactly. That is the clue I have always told. Know that even if you go to a place of worship or anywhere, whenever your mind can become silent, it goes to its divinity only. It has no third way. If it imagines, it stays away. If it stops imagining, it automatically goes to its ultimate truth. Thus, when it is total silent always, the consciousness is silent, it is with its divine, means it is one with it. So there is no identity of the relative I at all. So there
Yes.
is no identifying a God at all as a separate entity. And there is nobody else to claim that I am God.
Yes,
Where will I,
Baba.
if there is any separation is there, then I will claim, oh, I am God who have come. There is no other separation at all, no other entity at all. So to whom will I shout that I am God, I am God? Only to the walls. Nothing. So this is
So,
all funny thing actually. It has no sense really. If we go through the knowledge and wisdom, that was what the Rigvedic era sages gave that beautiful truth. Yoga Vasistha, Ashtavakra Samhitas, all these things. The same experience in our consciousness also.
So, Baba, my last question is that you just very beautifully said that the God, for each and every individual, God is a different concept, and that concept means the world goes crazy onto that. Everybody thinks that the God exists in their own box. Baba, when you said that this God for you exists in the total silence. And here is my last question, because you always says, watch, watch in between eyebrows and keep the mind silent. So, and you always say that the watching is the ultimate. When you watch, the thinking automatically decreases. When a single pointedly when you watch a statue, a deity, when a single pointed watch happen, automatically the eyebrows settles and the mind also comes to a point when it doesn't go into the thinking. So I understand that concept very well because it's so beautiful. I myself sometimes does this, just watch at the wall without any and the constant gazing at the wall for a few seconds the mind stops and mind stop thinking. So, and it can be a deity or it can be just a wall, and you feel that you just exist, and that is a beautiful feeling. And that's the feeling of, again, it's just a feeling of existence, just being existed. So am I understanding it correctly,
Yeah,
Babaji? Or
exactly. You just watch, become silent, and you are in yourself, and all ideas drops. That is the ultimate.
even the glimpse of that few seconds of just in the existence is just mesmerizing. It's just gives so much
To
of
make it
joy and peace.
permanent, to practice, that is what is known as sadhana.
Yes,
Practice.
Baba. So when you say that your mind is in that silence, so that means you're in just all the time in the self.
That is all.
That is
There
all.
is nothing to claim in that.
Nothing to claim. Yes. Thank you, Babaji. It was a very, very lovely question and answer. Beautiful session. Yeah,
Thank you.
people, if they have any
You gave
doubts.
some opportunity for me to express the inexplicable thing. We'll go. We'll take few questions at the time we have.
Namaste, Babaji.
Yes.
You were saying that the thoughts in the mind, you just identify them. It's like, but it doesn't give you the solution, right? Like if you check the thermometer, it shows you your temperature, but you don't, it is not a paracetamol or whatever that will reduce the headache. I understand that. But who is it who's answering? I mean, if I have a problem, and instead of going here and there and asking for a solution, and I sit in my meditation, and I was just thinking that, but the Atman is unreactive, right? It is just a witness. And that is your
Yes.
true nature. It is silence. So where do I get my answer from? Is it from the mind? Because the mind also doesn't think. It's
You
just a
see,
matter of thought.
in between the pure consciousness of existence that creates a problem for itself, then it answers for itself. It is from there, a little before the merger, from that is where the imagination is coming. If that imagination is allowed to grow, then it becomes mind. So that is where it is happening. Whereas either of them are not you. But you are imagining, I am having a problem and I am getting an answer. These both are imaginations.
That's I really can't wrap around that. Even
So
I'm
for a while,
contemplating.
do not bother about it. Simply keep going.
So
Because the
when
more you bother, you create more puzzle for yourself.
no, but in day-to-day life, there are decisions to be made, and you don't know which action to take. Then you go inside and you
Yeah, you
silence the
see,
mind.
for
And
that, what we teach is like if you meditate more, when the mind is more composed, at peace, it is more focused, then it is able to apply the wisdom and get proper decisions and accept it also. This will be possible. That is all. Further, conclusively, nothing can be said. Nobody knows actually where it is coming, what it is happening. This is definitely when you focus and make your mind more composed, then you can get better answers also. You will be able
So
to take better decisions.
the other point that Ambaji was making about the brain and utilizing it to its 100% capacity, but always when there is a champion at anything, they've already done the practice. So the different people are at different stages of skill sets, depending on their practice. Like meditation also, you become better at it only through practice.
Yeah, you see, a practice is needed for anything. Due to habitual practice, like mind has gone out of control. You have to practice to make it one single pointed. That is how the practice has to happen for anything. You become
Yeah.
a champion only when you practice. Without a practice, nobody is a champion.
Right. So I don't know what is meant by full development of the brain to its fullest capacity.
Impossible.
The other question I had is when we say that you're concentrating in the middle of the eyebrows, what is the anchoring there?
No anchor is given. So actually, the mind is trying to watch itself.
So when we are watching in the center, the seeing turns inward, and you're looking at the place from where the seeing is taking place.
Yes, this is what has to happen actually. In the beginning, you think that you are watching through eyes, then you start realizing it is the awareness comes only when the mind is able to watch. This mind, if it becomes quiet, then it turns introverted. That's what is known as watching itself. You become aware of yourself eventually.
So what is the difference between awareness and consciousness? Is there any difference?
Consciousness is the existence. You become aware that you are that consciousness.
So there's a slight difference. We
Yes,
cannot use it interchangeably.
exactly.
I would reserve awareness for the Atman, and
Yes.
consciousness is for all pervadingness.
Okay, fine.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
Thank you very much, Babaji, and thank you, Ambaji, for your questions. I really like this session. My question, I'm trying to, after watching this session, my question is basically soul, which is Atma, and super soul, which is Paramatma, and in between, the bridge is the consciousness. I have twofold question. So is that correct?
Yes, forever. That is what will take you back to the actual self. That is Paramatma, what you are talking.
Okay.
Simply, I try to avoid those Paramatma, these that stick to one mind, consciousness, and the self. So what you are talking also is right. It's the same bridge. So you find this consciousness means the mind becomes purified as consciousness. Then it starts merging with the Paramatma. Then the identity of Jivatma, Paramatma all disappears.
Okay. So yeah, in the same question, so basically, if your brain is a physical layer, your mind and thought is a logical layer. It's just the thoughts which are coming, and the brain is processing it in our body, which is a physical layer. And consciousness is basically which is other like soul, which is watching this thoughts and all. And when we do meditation, we have to suppress or not suppress, just watch it, and automatically the thoughts will disappear. So brain will stop functioning and the thoughts will also disappear, and you will be in the conscious state. Now, where does your physical body also goes into the sleep mode? Like you duck, or sometimes you go into that sleep mode, and that's basically physical layer. So how do I tell my physical layer that you should not get into the sleep mode? We have to be in the conscious mode. How do we do that?
That's necessary, because if it goes to sleep mode means the brain has gone into sleep.
Correct.
Brain needs to be alert. Then keeping the brain alert, only you can purify your mind. The acquired habits can be purified when the brain is also alert there. So a little bit of touch with the brain will be there, and in the same way which the brain reflected and the mind registered, so thus it became involved into the thoughts, making it acquired habits. It is there. To remove that, brain is required, because all the thoughts are always in a symptomatic way in the mind that needs to be decodified as a thought and vision before it disappears. That's what is the garbage is being thrown out. For that, the brain's help is needed. So brain needs to be alert. So you must avoid going into a sleeping mode. If necessary, you can wash your face and sit down again. See that you don't disappear. You don't become unconscious. That is important.
And adding to that, meditation is the state which will take us to the conscious state. And what is tapas?
Further, to make this consciousness also, identity, what you have identified as the I, disappears and merges with what you wanted to call as the super soul or Paramatma. Merges there.
So
For
you have to
merging
go-
there, you need tapas. Tapas is it burns all acquired habits once for all. It won't absorb anything again.
So can we reach tapas by doing 1 hour meditation, or we have to do long sessions?
If you can achieve 1 hour of remaining quiet, then also you can achieve a lot, definitely.
Thank you, Babaji. Thank you very much. You really opened my lots of thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Baba. Very happy to see you. Actually, I'm speaking on behalf of my mother. I have 3 questions, Baba. Will be quick. So, Baba, my mother, she has an abusive relationship with my father. Like he will abuse her and all. So now she wanted me to ask you this, that when somebody abuses us, right? Where will that abuse go and sit? Because there is no physical place as such, right? So where will the abuse exactly go sit? Is the good purpose?
It will go into
That is the first one.
sufferer's mind if they simply suffer unnecessarily. So they should not take this. Only meditation can remove, so that mind can become a casualty. The mind absorbs that I was abused, my husband abused. Such thoughts will be absorbed by the mind. It will sit in the subconscious state, on and off. It can be troubling. That is how it happens. To remove that, meditation is the best remedy.
Okay, Baba. So, Baba, second question is, I wanted to ask you this question since a long. So, you mentioned that before your tapas, the 5-year period, right? You used to work in the ashram, and also you used to 6 hours of meditation each day, right? So, did you split the sessions, Baba, or did you continuously for 6 hours? Because in my practice also, if I advance a little bit more, start with 1 hour, I want to split like Baba. So is splitting also considered tapas, and did you do like, or you sat for 6 hours continuously? Is
Sitting
the process of
quietly, mentally, when you are able to remain quiet, that is how the tapas. Like that, I could sit for 6 hours because from childhood I was very less exposed to the world. I stayed in the ashram, so nothing much was in the mind. It was quite simple for me to keep it quiet and keep observing only, not thinking. So there was not much ego. We had surrendered to the master guru. Whatever he wanted me to work, we were working. So when the time was available, I could sit for 6 hours at that time, quietly. That's how the tapas picked up eventually.
Thank you, Baba. Last question. So, Baba, for me, to be honest with you, I was not to meet properly for quite some time due to many different issues. Mainly, like because in my mind, sometimes I feel like I need a deity or something. But then again, I go to some deity. Right? My mind goes like a deity is all fine, but when you go around the world and environment, you don't see any such deity who's really appearing in front of you. So God must be like formless. So how to approach the Jangama Dhyana in a devotional way. Watching between the eyebrows, can that spot we can look at it devotionally also is the doubt, Baba.
Yeah, devotionally, see, if you like any deity, become devoted means have faith. Don't keep deciding in 1 second that the deity is not appearing. For a deity to appear, you have to become totally obsessed with that deity. All the time, in the mind thinking, then that formation happens. Otherwise, even if it doesn't appear, also not necessary. Simply have a faith. The grace of the deity is on you, and just go on meditating, the Jangama Dhyana type. Then you will see that grace also descending, and your meditation improves like that one. Without doubting means this is self-confidence. Do not, doubting means you will be doubting yourself. Then you lose that enthusiasm, you lose that grip over meditation. So having faith is, that is what it is. The divine deity is within you. Firmly have that faith, the deity is within me, and you just go on doing, it will definitely come.
Thank you, Baba. Hope your blessings I will be able to get better and continue my progress.
Certainly, we will pray and bless you.
Pranam, Babaji. Babaji, so I'm in Gurgaon and I'm taking my dog to the vet every day, and they found spots in his liver. So it's like 98% chances it is cancer, and it's like a tumor. So I dearly love him, Babaji, and it's been 9 years of a very nice, deep connection. So my question is, I realize soon I may lose somebody that I love. So, as somebody on the spiritual path, what is the right way to deal with the experience of losing a loved one? Can Babaji
see,
please inspire my wisdom?
You must understand the thing that you have been loving is the soul actually. That was in the form of a physical body as a dog which you identified as one of the animals. You really thought you are loving that dog in that form. Now that form might go away. It has to go away one day. But you must understand the thing that you are loving is the soul, and it will not be destroyed. It will always be there. So you pray all these years like you looked after that soul in the form of a dog. Thus you served also. You need to have the satisfaction. Now it is time for that dog's soul to go further in its journey towards the divine. For that to facilitate, you pray to the divine to look after that soul in its onward journey. Instead of crying or feeling sad that you are losing something, you tell that you are praying for that soul, and thus you will feel satisfied. It is like sending on the onward journey, taking leave with due honors that to the soul. The soul, you owed something to the soul, it was with you, you looked after. Now the soul's time is to go to the next elevated things towards the divinity. That is what is going to happen. Have faith, have confidence in yourself. You are doing the best thing. When you pray also, pray to divine, so that that soul is guided towards its ultimate truth finally.
Ji Babaji, I pray to you. Thank you so much. Babaji, I actually have the smallest question related to this. I just want to ask you, so a week ago I thought, if I pray to you mentally to get grace for my dog, is that the same as messaging you? Or can I mentally get your grace as well for somebody else?
Mentally also, you need to having the faith, and then you will see whatever good for that soul, that will happen always. That is important. That's how the final truth comes. So you praying is also the same as messaging also. For some reason you are unable to message, then you can pray mentally also. Your faith is what matters.
Okay, Baba. Thank you.
Okay.
Pranams, Baba.
Yes.
Yeah, Babaji, when we think about who am I, and when we reach to that watching space and that witnessing space, from there, how does that I take its attention towards the source of it? How does that turning happens? How can we do that?
Just now you observe what you call it as the mind is the pure consciousness. Consciousness means wherever you apply, you become aware of that. You apply it to me when I am answering, you will become aware of what I am trying to convey. Now, in the same way, if it is silenced, then its attention turns to itself automatically. It becomes aware of itself automatically. Just like when you press the accelerator, vehicle moves automatically. But before that, you need to press. That's what you are trying to do in meditation, silencing. Otherwise, it will be preoccupied with its own imagination. You are trying to stop that imagination, and then the awareness automatically turns to itself. When it has no awareness of any other thoughts there, it all have disappeared, it becomes aware of itself. Just like when you are watching the movie, when your awareness to the movie is stopped, then automatically you will become aware that you are sitting and watching a movie. Like that it will happen. Will bless.
Pranam Babaji. In today's session, Babaji, what I understood is when I am working on my thoughts and vision, and one day if I am able to quieten my mind, my Sthula Sarira is gone. But I am still there with my the gross body. Is that the correct understanding?
You will, yes, this what the mind has to become silent. When it becomes silent, it realizes it is not the gross body. The gross body is there as a chariot. It is the inside, whatever the dweller, as the consciousness of existence. That is what the I is. It will realize that thing. That is the understanding needs to be. That you are not this physical body, you are that infinite consciousness of existence.
So when the thoughts and the visions go away, the awareness would be that we are the consciousness of existence.
Yes,
Correctly.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Namaste Babaji, this is my first session with you. I'm so lucky to have this session. Thank you so much and giving me this opportunity. My question is, you also mentioned in the previous answers about deities, and I had been lucky enough to do many courses around for the last 10-15 years from different gurus. The problem with me is that I had been unable to surrender myself to any of the deity or guru till date. So should I find a guru where I should completely surrender, or the guru will find me?
You try to find a guru which would be appealing to you to surrender. It should come from within you, because nobody can impose it. For this, if you pray to divine, then the divine will grace that the guru will come to your life also.
Even for divine, I am unable to surrender to any of the particular deity or...
You just pray to any divine without considering any one particular form or name or anything. You are the all-pervaded, my divine. Please bless me. Please bless me with such a guru who would have liberated himself and who can lead me to liberation. Like that, you simply pray. You don't have to take any name, form at all.
Right.
That will help you, definitely.
Thank you.
We'll pray for you. So wonderful to be with you all. Now we'll go for the Arati.